All right, y'all, welcome back. So we're gonna do the 1 week update of the 8 spray products plus Armorphobic on the hood of my car. I'm gonna do a quick foam rinse foam with Armor Shampoo Plus, and then we're gonna go in contact wash it and see what the hydrophobics look like. Then we'll dry it off and I'll go over it with a plush microfiber just to kind of feel the slickness of each product on the panel. So not much to talk about. Let's dive right into it. So that's interesting. The Meguiar's is the only one that's rejecting the soap aggressively. See, seal and shine a little bit. I'm bringing you in. I'll let you watch that while I go around the rest of the car. So we can see we've got a little bit of the seal and shine poking through here. You can see the Sigma's poking through a little bit. The Amplify a little bit over here, but not too much. But it really looks like the Meguiar's is fighting it off the most. Let's rinse it off. It's a lot of water. So I'm having some foam issues today using the Armor Drift and Armor Shampoo Plus. I've got 3 ounces in the cannon and a 1.65 orifice, so it's got plenty of pressure. It's like 1500 psi. I think the 16-ounce bottle that this came out of had sat in the sun. That's the best guess that I have. I do have a gallon that's safe inside of a cabinet, so we'll use that in the next video and see how it does. But back to foaming. Alright, time to rinse. Meguiar's. Looking amazing. Garage Therapy Sigma. It's pretty good. The beads aren't as tight as the Meguiar's. OG Drying Aid. A lot more of a sheeter. A lot more of a sheeter in the OG Drying Aid. Armor Amplify. Definitely a sheeter. So you can see that again. Next up, Seal and Shine. Hydrophobics are looking real good on Seal and Shine. Chemical guys. Sheeting, not a whole lot of beading. All right, Tech 582. That looks pretty good. All right, let me bring you in closer so you can look at those beads. Seal and Shine. Chemical guys, very flat. Got tight water beads here, very flat ones here. Then getting into the Tech, a little flatter, definitely not as good as Seal and Shine. Hydro Save, not as good as Tech, definitely looks. We got Amplify, OG Drying Aid. I think OG is a little more hydrophobic than Amplify, not by a ton. Garage Therapy Sigma, this is pretty good, not amazing. But the beads on Meguiar's are insane. Beads on Meguiar's are insane. And then of course, Phobic. I mean, look at those things. All right, so that's week one. Meguiar's is in first in Hydrophobic, followed by Seal and Shine. I would have to say Tech 582, actually Garage Therapy Sigma, then Tech 582. Let's check on the slickness. The M22 out. I'd use that M22 to dry another vehicle. We'll use this OG liquidator. We'll keep the blue side dry just to feel the slickness. Okay. All right, let's check the slickness. Amplify, OG. Amplify is definitely slicker. Sigma. Sigma is definitely the slickest right now, which is in line with my testing. The Meguiar's is not super slick. Hydro Save is slightly slicker than the Meguiar's. Alright, so this is Tech. The Tech is definitely slicker than Hydro Save. It is not as slick as Sigma, but it is right behind it. The chemical guys. Seal and Shine's surprisingly slick. Yeah, I think that's in third place. Alright, so we'll go ahead and rank everything for week one. The slickest after the first wash. So number one is Garage Therapy Sigma. Number two is Tech 582. Number three is Seal and Shine. Number four is Amplify. Number five is OG Drying Aid. Number six is Hydro Save. Number seven is Chemical Guys. And number eight is Meguiar's Hybrid Ceramic. Meguiar's had the best hydrophobics, but it's the least slick. You know, I think Seal and Shine is kind of standing out here. It's pretty slick, really hydrophobic, but you know, the Meguiar's has a really good look to it. It's really hard for me to get it on camera, but it's really got a good depth. It's not so much visible after the first wash, but the jetting was very visible. You know, that's one thing I have noticed in my testing. The slickness of Sigma really lasts. That and Ethos Resist are two standouts that have a long-lasting slickness, and that's a big thing I'm looking for. You know, Sigma, I'm finding myself reaching for Sigma quite often these days. So it's a really good product. I mean, I don't know if you could get away using it every week. It's not super expensive. I think it's $70 for a 5 liter, which, you know, is quite a bit more than a gallon. First up on the full panel, so I'm gonna start with the most hydrophobic here and kind of work my way around. So start with the Meguiar's Hybrid Ceramic. So I'm gonna use a full rag for each one. So We're going to follow instructions here. So, vehicle still wet, apply only 2 to 3 light sprays on the panel. Overuse can lead to streaking. It's not like conventional. A little goes a long way. Initial application after light spraying onto wet surface. Simply towel dry with a microfiber. So this doesn't even recommend to be applied to a dry surface. So what we're going to do, because this says to apply to a wet car, 2 to 3 sprays per panel on a wet car. So I'm going to do 2 sprays of water and 2 sprays of the product. Because it doesn't recommend a dry car. See how this goes. Just feels thick. I have a feeling, yeah, that is on there. That's streaked all over the window. I'm gonna try to get that off first. I guess I didn't even pay attention if this even recommends to be put on glass. I don't like to use a high pile towel because I feel like that contributes to dusting. I think lower pile towels actually do better at not generating as much static. I mean, I've had situations where using high pile towels where it feels like a ceramic coating is grippy because it's generated so much static on the surface. Okay, that looks like it's fully buffed off. I'm going to flip to one more clean side here just to give it kind of that dry feel, just to make sure that no specific section feels grabby. Feels good. Okay. All right. So it was real close between Sigma and Seal and Shine last time. So gives 9 weeks of durability. Okay, here we go. Best results: wash the car, panel wipe, shake well before use using a clean premium microfiber towel. Prime the face with 1 to 2 sprays of Sigma. Spray directly on the paint with 1 to 2 full sprays and spread evenly over the surface and allow it to cure for 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, it says 1 to 2 sprays. So I'm gonna do 1 in the towel and 2 in the panel. Okay. Can't believe it. Spraying this stuff directly on glass. So it wants you to just spread it out and let it set up. Just trying to make sure I got good even coverage here. And this is another one that wants you to buff with a high pile, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, let's get it off. Again, this was the slickest product, and in my experience, it just maintains slickness so for such a long time. It's so slick. I think this is really good, coating topper. I think, my process looks like putting this on once a month. It is very nice. I mean, that came off a lot easier than the McGuire's did. The application overall was a lot better than the McGuire's. All right, front door is going to be Seal and Shine. Directions: wash and dry car, use 2 sprays per panel, spread and wipe clean, folded microfiber cloth, use separate. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with Sigma, so I'm going to do 3. This one on the hood felt like it could actually have used just a touch more than a spray, or 1 spray was right. So I'm going to do the same thing. Trigger's good. Trigger's leaking all over my hand. I'm so glad I'm not wearing gloves. Spread it out. This is much more grippy than application than Sigma, that's for sure. Okay, let's buff. I'm gonna give this a second. Just want to see if the buff gets easier after it sits for a second. It kind of seems like it. Let's flip. Just gonna make sure we got it all. Next up, Tech 582. And for this, I'm using a clean, dry towel for every panel. For first-time application, wash and dry vehicle, perform any needed preparation for flawless finish, clay bar polish, etc. Apply a few sprays To panel, use one microfiber towel to wipe product into finish. Use a second towel to wipe to a high gloss shine. So it just says a few sprays. So this is going to be a much smaller panel. Actually, I'm going to do the windshield. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do one spray on the windshield, one spray on here, one spray in the towel. This is not diluted, straight up tack. Make sure y'all can see the windshield from there. All right, tack, one spray in the towel, one spray on the panel, and then one on the windshield. Away we go. It's real easy. All right, so windshield went on really well. Without a doubt, the easiest application so far. Without a doubt. And it's super slick. I think that's got the slickest, the quickest. All right, next up, OG drying aid. Directions: shake well, wash your vehicle, don't use on hot panels. You can use this on wet or dry surfaces. Spray it onto your vehicle in a small area and work it in with your favorite microfiber towel. Make sure to not let dry. Can use on paint, glass, and trim. Really no suggestion on how much to use at all. So it's just going to get the same thing I've done the last two products. It's going to get one on the glass, one on the panel, and one in the microfiber. So just to prime it. A Tolko being a good Tolko. Missed it. Yeah, much more grabby than tack. I think this is really close to Sigma in application so far. It wants to be a little more grabby. Okay, so that feels like it's on there. The feel of the towel just was not changing. Goes on nice on the glass with the armor glass on here. But came right off, no streaks. Nice and slick. So I think this is probably tied for the second best application so far. And now we're kind of getting into the less hydrophobic products. So definitely not as, this initial slickness is not there compared to Tech 582. So it's not first place, but it's good. Next up, HydroSafe. So we know this is a pretty stout product, so we're just gonna, bigger panel, I'm gonna do the same thing. Spray. I'm gonna spray a little water on this. See if an application closer to the Meguiar's helps. Because it is not, on dry, is not enjoyable. Yeah, that's much better. That made it much better. So, I think that 50-to-1 dilution is a better idea. I think this 20-to-1, this was just a test, just to see like how much durability, how much product could we get. Feels good. Buff off. It's nice. It feels really smooth, really slick. Sometimes there's like, it feels slick, but there's like an initial grabbiness. I don't get that with this. I don't get the initial grabbiness. So, yeah. So I think with the water, it was much better. It'd be closer to the Meguiar's or the Seal and Shine. But, we're not getting their performance, but it's also way cheaper than that. Moving on to the chemical guys. We're going to need about a dozen sprays. Directions: best results: do not apply in direct sunlight. Make sure the surface is cool to touch. Shake well. Spray Hydrofeed onto the surface. Work in one section at a time. Then use a clean microfiber to wipe the area clean. Uses between washes. Designed and developed for use on exterior surfaces from paint to glass to chrome, rims, and even plastics. So, just to give this thing a fair shake, I'm going to go for 4 sprays. We'll do 1 in the towel and 3 on the car. I haven't really commented much on scent. Meguiar's smells amazing. OG drying aid doesn't really smell like much. This smells like ammonia or something. It smells like glass cleaner to me. Yeah, this smells like a Windex. Just crazy. The Sigma smells okay. It's a good smell. It's not the strongest smell, but it does smell good. You know, that application was decent. It's actually got really pretty good slickness here. Yeah, that application was actually really good. I think that was, you know, probably third place, I would say, behind OG. Very slick though, actually, surprisingly. All right, well, all right, myself. So for the last one, we got a little amplify. So let's read the directions here. They did fix their labels. Some of their stuff was way too small. See, as a drying aid, after wash, simply spray amplify directly onto your drying towel or on one panel of the vehicle at a time. Dry the vehicle as normal. Follow up with a second towel to remove any residue or streaking. Spray amplify directly onto your microfiber towel. Okay, as a detail spray. Spray amplify directly on your microfiber towel and evenly wipe into the desired surface, working one section at a time. Follow up with the fresh side of the towel. So this recommends a wet application as well. So it doesn't really give any directions on how much to use. So we're just going to do 2 sprays of water, 2 sprays of the product. And then sometimes amplify, you'll get some SiO2 sediment. There wasn't any. All right, so I'm going to do 1 spray into the towel. And we'll do 2 sprays on the panel and see how that does. This is a smaller panel too, you know, than the doors. So the Meguiar's, you know, as far as the top smelling product here, I think actually I like the smell of Amplify a little better. The Meguiar's is kind of a really artificial smelling. Smells good, but okay, this is slicking it up really nice actually. Let's see. Well, this is why it's so popular. Oh, super slick, super just, yeah. Super slick. I just want to keep wiping it and I shouldn't. But, all right, so that's it. We put them all on each panel so you can get a real world application, not just a small square on the hood. You know, we followed the directions on the bottle for what they had. All right, so let's wrap this up. This was the 1 week update for the 8 spray products that I put on the hood, plus the ceramic coating. We went through, checked the Hydrophobics. You know, ADS Phobic was killing it, but the Meguiar's was pretty stinking good for the Hydrophobics. I was blown away. You know, it was rejecting the soap. It was, you know, halfway to the full-on ceramic coating, but you know, you can see the difference. There's a big one. But, you know, going through the Hydrophobics, Meguiar's was far and away the best. Seal and Shine had a big gap there, but it was in second place. Garage Therapy Sigma right behind that. Tech 582 was a good step down. OG Drying Aid was a little behind Tech 582. And then we had Hydrosave, which was a bigger jump, and then Chemical Guys wasn't the best. ADS wasn't the best. You know, like OG and ADS, they're meant to be coating toppers. They're not meant to be hydrophobic. They're just focused on ease of application, you know, that goes on slick, looks good on the surface, and, you know, really just gives you that slickness to just uphold between washes on your car to give you the slickest surface. Then, you know, going on to the slickness after the first wash, so how well did it maintain it for the first week and after being washed? So we had Garage Therapy Sigma in first, Tech 582 in second. Seal and Shine was right behind that. Then we had ADS Amplify, OG Drying Aid, Hydrosave, Chemical Guys, and Meguiar's. You know, I think Seal and Shine is doing really good. It's second in Hydrophobics, third in Slickness. Now, when we got to the whole panel application, it was dead last. It's not the easiest. You know, on a wet car, maybe it's better. But anyway, so now for the whole panel application, ADS Amplify was, you know, far and away the best. Now it called for a wet panel, so it got a wet panel. You know, Tech 582 and OG, they did not, so maybe they would have benefited from that, you know, having those couple sprays on the panel, but they don't call for it in the instructions, so they didn't get it. but maybe we'll revisit that later. So, ADS was in first, Tech was in second, OG Drying Aid in third, Garage Therapy Sigma in fourth. I know doing Sigma on a wet panel is a super easy application. There's a lot there, so you don't need much. I mean, it's on a wet car, one spray per panel is plenty, but it's super slick under the towel if you do that, and you get a really nice long-lasting slickness, and it is meant to just keep being used every week. So that might be a good product to use as your drying aid. Then Chemical Guys was behind Sigma. Then we had Hydro Save in sixth, McGuire's in seventh, Seal and Shine in last place as far as application goes. So Seal and Shine was a little tough. We know it lasts super long. Like, it is a durable product. It's got great hydrophobics, so maybe that's something you use on a wet car once a month. A lot of these products got their place, but I've given you information. Choose what sounds good to you, but we'll get another update in the future on the hoods. In the next round, we'll see how they play on top of phobic on the hood. See if any of them negatively affect the hydrophobics. So we'll put them on, let them sit overnight, and then check the hydrophobics the next day. So look forward to that in the future. Stay tuned for more. Peace.